Hi, welcome to What's the Book About? I'm your host Kevin. This is The First Casualty by Mike Moscoe. This is a story of a rebellion out amongst the stars where the two sides are going to end up having to fight their own leadership in order to stop the Civil War. So this book is set in a future time where Earth has colonized a large number of stars and has, the Earth's main first few colonies have grown rich and powerful, and the outer rim have grown resentful and are in the middle of a rebellion against Earth authority. Now, the story tracks three main characters: Mary the miner, Ray Longlife the colonel, and Captain Matum, a former merchant. Now, Mary the miner is a conscripted mine worker who is now a grunt in the ill-prepared Earth Army. Colonel Ray Longlife is a veteran with a unit. Mary the miner is a conscripted former miner who is now working in the ill-prepared army from Earth, defending against Colonel Ray Longlife. Colonel Ray Longlife is a veteran warrior with a unit of skilled veterans at his command, and they're attacking Mary's position. Now, the third major character in this is Captain Matum. He used to run a merchant ship called the Maggie. It's been taken over by the Earth Alliance and been outfitted for war and renamed the Sheffield. So the book focuses mostly on this one particular piece of stellar real estate that is a focal point for travel and commerce that the rebels must take and the Earthers must defend. Unfortunately for the Earthers, they're ill-prepared. Mary the miner is using stolen equipment and hardware from her old job to try to defend against an assault led by veteran troops with a veteran navy backing them up. Okay, so that's the spoiler-free introduction. Be warned, from here on in there may be a few spoilers. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. The book's opening starts with Ray's command being mauled by Mary and her miner and her ragtag group of street ruffians that she's cohesively joined together to form a ragtag bag that just barely scrapes enough ammo and tricks in order to keep the veteran troops from taking this world. Now, we follow Ray as he goes about trying to recover and recuperate from war wounds and getting to see the civilian side from the rebels' point of view and just how completely and utterly messed up it is. And we also follow Mary as she learns to become more of a military person as she actually meets veteran troops that are from Earth that are finally being shipped in, and she learns the soldier's trade and the cost of war, and those around her learn to actually become fairly good soldiers. And we also follow Captain Matum, who during the Navy battle ends up getting shot and lost in space. And what he finds out and how he returns will change the dynamics of this entire universe. Now, with the Earthers kind of actually having an extra little subplot in that there is a conspiracy of business owners who are running both sides of this war. And it's only through Ray Longlife's sacrifice that he's able to stop the madman of a president who is his leader. And it's only through Mary's own intervention that she stops the madman of an admiral that wants to commit genocide and war crimes to end the war. Now, both of these, by violating their own trust, they managed to actually secure a peace for their peoples. But it's not without some measure of cost. So what's good and bad about this book? Well, first off, both sides of the conflict are given enough time to develop, so we get to see a good grounding for why they're fighting, why they might resent fighting. And the author, by altering the perspectives of each of the characters, the ship captain, merchant captain, is now having to deal with science and learning as he returns, at least finds a way back home. And the colonel, who was a military man, is now stuck in civilian life and learning about the civilian life of the rebels. And Mary the miner, who was a civilian, now learning of what military life is like. As each of them has to deal with a situation and that they're not at all familiar with, they get to expand how they see the world that they inhabit. And we get to see more of the world. And it really helps to build a sense of scale and scope for this conflict, as it only takes place on basically 2 worlds and a ship. The one big downside in this particular book is I've read this book 6 or 7 times, and I always have a hard time figuring out where the ship is in this 2-sided battle, whether it's an Earth ship or a rebellion ship. It's not till much later in the book that they manage to keep it clear which side it's on, and that really does detract from the book. So in the end, what is the book about? The perils of greed. You see, Ray lusts after military glory and has spent his entire life searching for that and gaining for that. And he is handed a huge defeat on what should have been an easy victory for him. But he learns from his mistakes and stops himself from lusting solely after the military goal and starts to learn about civilian life. Mary the miner, she was bound and determined to become a miner, to own her own mine, to become free and clear of the corporation. And this greed for a particular, well, in her case, it's particular monetary and goal of actually owning her own mine. When she loses that, she has to adapt, and she lets go of her greed and learns to become a bigger, broader person for it. Even the captain, to a lesser extent, he lusts after becoming a rich and successful merchantman, owning his own fleet of ships, and when he gets sucked into the war, having to deal with having lost that and finding joy and letting go of his greed and getting involved in the science and returning home and the adventure of it all. However, the villains in this piece, as I've mentioned before, are stuck in their narrow view, and they never ever acknowledge that anything is outside their knowledge base, that they know everything. And they lust for control and power, and that's why they kick-started this civil war. In order to break the Earth guys wanted to break the Outer Rim colonies, so they set up the evil president, and the evil president is greedy for power, and it's what ends up causing a civilian rebellion almost in his own need for power and glory. And this lustful grab for power is the root of all their mistakes, that they can't see anything other than their ultimate goal. That's the only thing that exists for them. And the fact that the author gives the minor characters a lot of character time and development, and the villains never mustache twirling crazy, but they all have a logical reason for why they want what they want, and kind of a logical reason why they don't believe some of the things that they're told that are outside what they know to be true. It really helps to build a vibrant world and universe that these characters inhabit. And it's all wrapped up in an exciting adventure with lots of danger and intrigue, and it's why I've got to give this particular book 4 out of 4 stars. Now, it's published by Ace Science Fiction, and it's available under the author's original pen name of Mike Moscoe, but it's also being republished under his real name of Mike Shepard, so you can pick it up as an ebook as well. So there's no reason you can't go out, read it, and enjoy. Till next time, have a good one.